Good morning, folks. Just got a little comment to go on here this morning about Covenant County Commissioner Tony Holmes. Made some comments a while back about a lynch mob and taking care of some business up in Oregon where George Floyd was killed. He said, and stuff like that. And people turn this into a racist thing. Well, when you talk about a lynch mob don't talk about color or anything. It talks about trying to do right to someone they believe has done something wrong. If the government won't handle it, they have people handle it themselves. The lynch mob don't have nothing to do with color. And the comments he made about the George Floyd stuff and Ferguson and all that stuff was that he knew how to handle it if the government wouldn't handle it. And that's not what they're doing. But now the government has finally decided, Attorney General Barr has decided to start charging some of these people with a crime called sedition. Sedition is an attempt to overthrow the government by violent means, and it's a felony punishable by 20 years in prison, which is what they ought to be doing. Now, Mr. Holmes is a free citizen of the United States just because he is a Covenant County Commissioner. He still has First Amendment right to say what he likes. He made no personal threats against anybody. He simply said they should bring back the lynch mob. He didn't say bring back the lynch mob to take care of the black people, the Mexicans, or anybody of color. He said the lynch mob maybe should come back. Well, the lynch mob took care of the people that the law wouldn't. And now there's some people in Covenant County demanding his resignation. He still, just because he's a Covenant County Commissioner, he still has the right to freedom of speech. The Covenant County Commission can't get rid of him. I've done studied this morning. The legislator has to do it. He has to be impeached by the government. He made no personal direct threats or anything. He made some personal comments that he's afforded under his First Amendment right, just as you and I do. Just because he's a county commissioner, he's still got the right to say some things. Now, the town I live in, Florida, Alabama, drafted a paper and voted on it requiring him to make a public apology. Well, they all voted unanimously, mayor and all, except for one councilwoman that was not there to vote. It was all instigated by a black councilperson. Nothing was ever said. I read his comments. I read his comments to the saying that his comments weren't racist, and I believe him. He never said anything about color. He just said the lynch mobs may need to come back, and if they would call him, he knew how to handle problems in Oregon and all them places. He made some comments, personal comments. He didn't say he was going to go kill nobody. He didn't say nothing about no color. But all of a sudden, it's become a racist thing. Lynch mob just didn't take care of black people. It took care of it says a lynch mob is going to take care of somebody that's done some wrong. I read it. Wikipedia. Read it. Now. Taking care of somebody that's done something wrong. That's what it says. Everything's got to be about racism these days. People can't make their own personal comments because it's racist. And that's wrong. You got the First Amendment right to say what you want, don't matter where you. If you're in government and you make a comment and people don't like it, all they got to do is not vote for you next time. That's it. But if you feel like making a personal comment, It don't matter who you are, you got that First Amendment right to say what you want to say. And I'm very disappointed. People got a right, they got their First Amendment right to their opinions, but that a city council would adopt an ordinance and vote on it unanimously, with the exception of one councilwoman who wasn't present to vote, to require him to make an apology to Covenant County citizens. Now, I read what he said, and I read his comments in regards to saying, he said that those comments weren't racist, and I believe him when what he said was not racist. He said nothing about people of color at all. Nothing at all he said about people in color. He's simply saying what I've said all along. Some things need to be done by our government to stop these riots and put law and order back where it ought to be, regardless of how they have to do it. It's got to be done. And they're starting to do that. They're starting to arrest people and charge them with serious crimes. Attorney General Barr, within the last couple of weeks, said they were going to start charging them with sedition. That's an attempt to overthrow a government as it sits by violent means, punishable by up to 20 years in prison. And it's a felony. And that's the way it ought to be. We got to get control of this country. And as far as Commissioner Tony Holmes, he say what he wants to. Don't matter to me. Shouldn't matter. Everybody's got their own opinion. But what I read his comments on Facebook. I read what he said in his self-defense. I read what people said. I read the Florida News drafting that ordinance requiring him to make an apology. It was spearheaded by a black councilwoman. He said nothing about people of color. All I'm saying is people are making stuff about color, and it ain't. It ain't about color people. It's about people just wanting to start some crap and believing what they want to believe. That they can. And they can say what they want to, too, because of the First Amendment, but it don't make them right. I'm not saying Tony Holmes was right, but he's got to write his opinion. Everybody's got to write his opinion. He broke no laws. What he said was under the First Amendment law. No matter if he is a council member, a county commissioner, he still got his first right amendment. He said nothing to be impeached. That's the only way they can get him out of office. The legislature has to impeach him. Covenant County can't just kick him off. They can ask for his resignation, but they ain't got to do nothing about it. Certain people will stir up crap and make it about color, and he said nothing about color. Just so happens, talking about the George Floyd case, he was a man of color. And he said, I disagree with what happened to George Floyd, but the riots and tearing up people's businesses and injuring innocent people has got to stop. I read it. Look it up on Safari. Tony Holmes' Facebook comments. Read it for yourself. You make your own decision. And then lose a star, it'll take you there. And it'll show you what he meant, what he said, and what he meant. So, people's wearing the feelings on their sleeves these days, and I'm tired of hearing about this color, racism stuff. It ain't there, folks. It's made up. George Soros and the Democrats are pushing it. As I made the comment before, we know that the Republicans, Lincoln was the first elected Republican president. He freed the slaves, and him and the Republican Party freed the slaves, while the Democratic Party filed it. And the rich Southern people filed it because they didn't want to give up no money. Think about the facts, folks, before you make decisions. Peace out.